animal that ends up being so shy. Also dangerous animal that's got nothing really to be scared of. Oh, there he goes. Well done, Ferg. You were in the perfect spot. There's his nostrils. And there they aren't. Off he goes. Ah, good news. One of the storks has sat down to show everyone how exactly they relax themselves. There we go. So that's what Jay was meaning. Why do the bird's legs bend forward like that? Ours would bend backwards. And I guess, I mean, they could also rest on their knees just like we would, with them pointing backwards. So I'm not too sure exactly why it is that it's ended up that they face forwards, not backwards. Because looking at it now, I think it's fair to say that if they were sitting backwards, it would be equally good balance. Maybe it's easier for them to get up like this. Very comfortable spot for the stork. Alrighty, well, as tempting as it is to wait for this other herd of elephants that could arrive, there is a lot of water around at the moment, so there's no guarantees that they actually will. So I think we're going to continue exploring Djuma. It's so good to be back, and I really want to get to explore the whole property this afternoon, so we'll keep exploring. But before we head off, we'll answer one more question from C Mac. She would like to know if the saddle-billed storks stay together for life, which they do. They're very faithful birds. How many eggs will they lay? And on average, you know, most birds will give birth to one brood of chicks every year, but if the going's really good, sometimes you get bumper seasons where they'll give birth to two sets, or sometimes even more for certain birds. But for these storks, on average, they're going to be probably laying two eggs a season, of which in all likelihood one will only survive. Even if both eggs hatch, you may find that the first egg to hatch will be the one that outcompetes the second. So as far as I'm aware, they're going to be raising at best one chick every year. And the next question that I guess we need to ask is how long they may pair up for and how long they may live for. And birds like this could well live for into their 30s to 40 years of age, I'm guessing. So they'll possibly raise 10, 15, 20 chicks in a lifetime. Hopefully these guys do a good job at raising some more, because there are not a huge amount of these saddleboard storks around. They are quite endangered relative to the other storks we see around. Very good. Okay, well, you guys now have the joy of going back to Mara with Jamie, who's sitting with one of the lions that I fairly get some good sightings with. Old Scott, that you guys get lucky with them now.
Scotty D, you are missed in the Mara, but I'm happy to hear that Scott and Nikki are once again back home on Djuma, back where it all started. I have to tell you a story about Scotty D while we look at one of the most extraordinary lions. Of course, Scar feeling quite sleepy. When I first started, I can't remember what had happened, but I got I had obviously had a lot of catching up to do when it came to presenting. I had never ever experienced anything like this particular job, and I was having a particularly bad day, and I was feeling very sad. I had a bad review session because, of course, we still do it, but we used to do it far more often. We used to sit and do reviews, and we'd watch ourselves and give each other suggested criticisms. Anyway, I was having a very bad day, and it was very early on. And Scott was on drive with me that afternoon, and he took me out on a long walk around quarantine clearings, and he very kindly shared all of his advice and experiences, and he was very kind and very, very generous. I've never forgotten that. Scott is a truly, truly fantastic friend. Right, moving on from that emotional soppy stuff, our lions are still very, very much asleep. Hey, sleepy cats. I have no idea which male's with him. He hasn't lifted his head. It's really difficult for me. I don't know this particular coalition well enough to be able to tell you without having a really good look at him. As I said, there are, for our new viewers, 4 male lions in this coalition. And because, of course, it's the way of the world, they are known as the Musketeers. The 4 Musketeers. Of course, Scar, I think, is the most famous, but you can see why. In terms of looks, he is one of the most distinctive male lions. And it's not just the Scar, it is that floppy mane. Catherine, you say that you could watch lions forever, even when they sleep. As someone who's spent recently a huge amount of time with sleeping lions, I happen to agree with you. I wonder how many hours since I arrived in the Mara, given our all-nighters, I've spent with lions. It'd be interesting to know, to work it out. One of the longer shifts was about 28 hours. Not all of that was spent with lions, though, in all fairness. But that was one shift. So I wonder what it all adds up to. Oh my goodness, today just gets better and better. So, back across to Rolf on Djuma, who has not a lazy lion, but another lazy big cat.
So folks, from gregarious big cats to solitary cats, here we have a lovely specimen of a leopard, and looking at the spot patterns as I've been going through all the identification processes, there he's got 3 dots just above the whisker line on his left side, and once he turns you'll see there's 3 dots on his right hand side as well. So this is 100% confirmed Hosana, and I'm sure all the viewers can confirm that. And please send through any of your comments on other ways or identifying characteristics that you are using when you spot the leopards, so that we can all work on this together. But you can see that heat affecting him as well, and there's a little bit of movement of vehicles, so he was a little bit just listening around, but there he's gone flat now. So, and his ears are quite clean. There's not really any big nicks that I've seen yet. See on Mvula, he's got quite nicked ears, and I haven't seen any real characteristics of the spots and rosettes that I can use of now. But please, let's get your comments. I know everybody's got all sorts of different ways of identifying these cats. For me, the easiest at the moment is looking at those dots above the whisker line, and the ratio being 3:3. That's the easiest way for me now to identify him. Very hot. Hey, look how that breathing is. He's really struggling a little bit in the heat. So probably not going to be very active for a little while now still. He's right next to a waterhole. We're near to Chitwa Dam. So we have gone from Impala Plains to Chitwa Dam, almost on the other side of the property. The armor comment saying that Hosana looking quite beastly. Yes, he's looking quite strong and very healthy, and he is a lovely looking male leopard. I agree with you. Absolutely. Look at that. He's in fantastic condition. He's obviously doing very well, hunting very skillfully and feeding regularly, having good exercise and good protein. Natalie, the question broke up a little bit, but it sounded like, do they always breathe so fast? Natalie, generally when it's hot during the day, they do breathe fast like that. It's all to do with their heart rate. They have a very high heart rate, and when it's hot during the day, they will breathe like that. And remember, they can't sweat like we can, so they're using their mouth and their breathing mechanism to cool them down. It's like their radiator. They're running the air over the tongue and they're sweating through the tongue, so there's a lot of moisture around the mouth area and they're running air over that. So that is their biggest cooling mechanism. So that's why there's a lot of panting when it gets hot included with the heart rate. And that's why they generally, when it's hot in the middle of the day, you won't see them doing too much hunting, because it can be exhausting for them, because they've got to cool down, added to the fact of the heart rate. But if there is an opportunity and it's not too much exertion, they will still go for it. It looks like he might have picked up on the sound of something or smell, and he's just having a look, but I won't be surprised if he flops down in a little while and lies down. Now look, he's passing the air over the tongue, for cooling down. So that's his radiator right there in the front. So we're going to sit here with Hosana for quite a little while, and from one flat cat moving over to Taylor in the Mara, who I think has got lions to show you.
We do indeed, Ralph. We've had lions actually for most of the afternoon. We've been following these cats around, and if you look very carefully, you'll see glimpses of that tan colour, and finally the lions are getting close enough towards these giraffe. Now, Manu and I lost them for the last 20 minutes that you haven't been with us. We didn't know where those cats had gone. They'd slunk down into the grass. And finally one has got close enough. I don't know where the rest are. They're all scattered all over at the moment. But now, we're not too far away from the giraffe either. I can't even see her anymore. I wonder if she's completely behind the shrub. I'm just checking. This is the difficult part. Now we've got to find where the lions are going to pop up in the long grass. There's one there. Where are the others? I can't even see them. It's actually scary how they can disappear. It makes me really, really nervous. Not in the car, but I imagine if you're walking around here on foot and you had no idea that these cats are stalking a herd of giraffe. Very cool. I don't want to move too much now. Oh, we can have a look at that bird in the meantime that's actually just sat up on the shrub, and I wonder if it's going to alarm the giraffe that there is a predator around here. The giraffe keep watching us. That's a beautiful yellow-throated longclaw, just singing a song at the moment. Not actually alarming at all. But she might wait for it to fly off before she makes her next move. And that's a problem for the predators. Like we said, they don't have it easy out here. They have a lot of things who don't like them. Birds being one of them, constantly alarming when they are around, telling everybody, hey, there's some predators about. Where is she gone? No, she couldn't have slunk around the car already. Never. The grass it was quite short at one point. Where are the rest of them? Be cheeky and just raise out of my seat slightly just to get a sort of vantage point here. We got another one. Oh, there we go. There's a head. Now, Dina, you said that you think it's amazing that lions will work together in order to try and get a giraffe. Well spotted, Manu. My eyes can't work as well as you're managing to do on the camera. There's another. They're a bit further away. It most certainly is amazing, and I can understand completely why these lions want to take it as easy as they can and not rush into it, because giraffe have got phenomenal eyesight and they can see many kilometers in the distance. So if they do spot the lions, they're going to move out of the area very, very quickly, especially if it's an entire pride. There's some water there. Yeah, there's a couple of patches that are a little bit marshy that we've been trying to avoid. You don't want to fall into one of those, because I think you'll get stuck. And I can't be having 2 marshmallow badges now, can I? It'd just be slightly unacceptable, wouldn't it? Where'd she go? What do you think, Manu? Do you think we should maybe reverse a little bit? It's just hard because we're obviously sitting in the same spot. We don't typically want to move around, but we haven't moved around at all. Maybe the giraffe won't know any different. Let me do that. Exciting times, but they're taking their time. And that's the thing with hunts, is that they don't necessarily happen straight away. I'm just trying to remember that there was a lugger behind me, a drainage line. There she is. Quickly have a look here. I just will show you. We won't worry about the giraffe just yet. We'll get to them in a minute. Look at this. There she is. I think she's waiting for the rest of the team to play catch up now, and to get a little bit closer before she makes her next move. I don't know what the game plan of these lions is going to be, whether they're going to use a distraction technique, whether they're all going to go in a big loop and try and corner one, maybe chase one until it falls, or I have no idea what their plan is. We're really just going to have to sit this one out. And it is a good idea that they do well, not a good idea. It's going to help them that they've got those young males on their side. Even though they're not fully grown just yet, they will be very strong. And male lions do play an important role when it comes to bringing larger prey down and actually holding on. So there she sits, plotting, thinking. I would love to know what's going on in her mind right now. She's very keen. She's a beautiful girl. Well, we're most certainly not going to go anywhere, as you can imagine. We've been being very patient this afternoon. I'm going to send you to Jamie, who's watching her sleeping cats.
Patience, of course, is always a big positive when observing animals in the wild. You don't get to see extraordinary things without either getting exceedingly lucky or being exceptionally patient. I think, however, I'm probably going to say or bid the Paradise Pride farewell in a few minutes. It's getting quite dark, and unfortunately, because it's a non-off-roading area, there's not much we can do. And it's very cold and very windy, and I forgot my jacket. And while I'm exceptionally glad there was a cleanish blanket at the back and not the bottom blanket that could probably use a cycle in the washing machine, and Brent didn't even leave me his red blanket to keep me warm. And I forgot my jacket. I'm very, very upset. Very miserable. It's chilly. But it is entirely my own fault, especially because I told Rebecca off yesterday when she went on drive for not wrapping herself in a blanket. Is that... I saw something... Oh, it's a guinea fowl. It's a guinea fowl hopping about on the rocks, but it's about to disappear. So there's the rest of the Paradise Pride. As I said, let's have another look at them. As I said, they might decide to cross the river. I don't know if you've figured out what the word is yet. I hear that Taylor's been letting the team down. Well, not really. But I've already said it 3 times. I've said it 3 times. So she says the opportunity hasn't presented itself. I'm done now. I can't say it anymore. So it all rests on Taylor's use of the word. She says she's holding out for the right moment. And then we'll see if you can figure it out. I wonder if they're going to cross. The river's quite high. Yesterday, after all of that rain, Brent and Taylor couldn't even come home the normal route. The tiny, tiny stream in front of our camp was, dare I say, a raging torrent? A raging torrent. Megs, is it raining back on the mountain? It certainly looks as though it was thinking about it. Not yet, says Megs. I'm just contemplating what my return journey's going to be like. But I don't think we're going to get rained on yet. Okay, as we sit shivering, waiting for the rain to fall down upon our heads, let's send you back across to the sunny Lowveld, where Rolf is still with the lovely Royal Prince.
Right, folks, so from one sleeping group of lions to a sleepy leopard. Hosana hasn't moved much except for plonking his head down in the grass and continuing on his slumber. Now we just want to try and hang here in this area so that when it cools down we can see what he gets up to, because we could leave this area and he gets up, he walks behind a bush and he's gone. So the best bet for us is actually to wait here and see what he gets up to. It's always nice staying in the presence of a leopard or lions, even though sometimes they are flat out like this. You never know when the action is going to start, so they do need to just hang around. There's another vehicle with some guests approaching. If you can hear the vehicle going, that's just them, and that's just made him lift his head up a little bit there. Shame. There we go, going back to sleep. They are very habituated with the vehicles, so it doesn't bother them much at all. Even the vehicles coming in and out to come and have a view, that doesn't really change their behavior whatsoever. Now, we just always need to remember that the people coming in to view these animals are the ones that are paying the money that we can keep these animals protected in these areas. So although sometimes it can seem like we maybe are disturbing them, we do need to remember that we need to keep the balance of not disturbing them as much as possible, but also getting people in that will keep coming and getting fantastic images, etc., and they bring the money to help us. And the people that are managing the park and the reserve, Kruger Park, to protect these very animals that we're viewing. So it's an important part of conservation, and if we can get them habituated to the vehicles, all the more better, because then we can get people then to see beautiful cats like this, and they will keep coming back for more and paying the money to keep them protected. Okay, folks, so Hosana is quiet on the floor there, but in the meantime, Taylor's got some lions who I think might be hunting a giraffe, so let's go to her.
They've been plotting this for quite some time, but now Manu and I are slightly on the confused side. We've got this one girl who's very, very keen, and we don't know where the rest of them... Oh, I can see a couple of others quite far back behind us. But one lioness all on her own is not going to be able to take down a fully grown giraffe. She really needs the help of the others. There, she's moving again. She's trying. But she's still got a bit of distance to go. You can also hear the thunder rumbling. Now, I'm actually quite glad that this cloud has come over and the rain has come about, because it's quite cool. And earlier, it was not particularly pleasant. I was feeling a little bit on the lackadaisical side of things, if you will. With the heat, it was exceptionally warm. Jamie and I were lathering ourselves up with sunscreen at one point, but now we don't need to do that. And I feel a bit sad for Jamie that she unfortunately she's forgotten her jacket at home. Hopefully she's got a blanket or a shuka or something. Maybe Brent kindly left a shuka in the car that she can wrap around her shoulders. Now, it's good for the lions though. The temperature is perfect. Right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sit quietly, because we are going to do an action broadcast, so bear with us. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this live action broadcast. You're sitting with us in the middle of the Mara Triangle as we watch a lion use the very tall grass, stalking right up to the tallest animal in the world. Now, there are other lions here, but I haven't been able to spot them. It seems as though it's only just the one girl that is very keen this afternoon. And this is live, like I said, so the great thing is that you're able to chat to me. So if you have any questions, you're welcome to just comment away. And anything you've ever dreamed of asking a safari guide, well, I'll be at your disposal. Now, this is really, really cool. We've been sitting with these cats for the last few hours, and we were quite lucky, because typically lions like to rest during the day, but we found them with their heads poking up above the grass, and they looked intrigued, and I wonder if they'd spotted these lions, if they'd spotted the giraffe, from far, far away, and they have been marching straight towards them. Now, a lion taking on a fully grown giraffe is a mammoth of a task. It's not an easy one, and I think that's why they're taking their time, but she needs support, and the rest of the pride need to come and join this. Mustafa, you've said that this is beautiful. It is indeed. Look at that. It is absolutely incredible sitting out here. You might be able to hear a bit of thunder every now and then too. There's huge storm going over the escarpment. We're quite lucky we're just missing it, and I hope we don't get wet this afternoon. And the sun is also about to set. It will set relatively soon. Now, isn't it incredible how that cat can completely conceal herself? You can see her there. You might not be able to, but every now and then when she twitches her ears, she shows the black marking on the back of her ears. And those are follow me signs. So typically when they're moving through long grass like this, young cubs and other members of the pride, without having to vocally communicate with one another, they'll use sort of body language, and they'll flick their ears around. And that's how we can see her in there. Now she's completely invisible. I can't see her at all, but as soon as those ears turn and show that black sign, that black follow me sign, you're able to see her. Where has she gone? Now she needs to stay as flat down on the ground as she possibly can, because if she stands up, she's going to show herself, which is a problem. If she wants to catch dinner, she has to rely on getting as close as she can to her prey before she pounces. She's going to have to jump a high way up in order to catch a giraffe successfully. Now Manu's going to keep searching for her. What I'm going to do is I just want to turn around. I want to see how far the rest of the lions are. But they blend in so well. The camouflage at this time of the year, now that the grass is sort of a mixture between green and yellow, is incredible. It really, really is. I'll just quickly pop my binoculars out. Manu's going to keep eyes on there. We have to work as a team. Oh, those cats are so far away. We won't even be able to see them right now without us having to reposition the car. I can't see her anymore. I mean, ideally, she's going to want to try and get in front of that giraffe. But giraffe are very, very dangerous creatures. They're not an easy animal to take down, not just because of their size, but they're also armed with powerful weapons which they'll use to protect themselves. And that, their main thing, when it comes to a lion, is actually using their feet, using their hooves. They've got a powerful kick. One kick to a lion's head could end its life. And they can chop like a horse with their front hooves, which they will do. Now, Andre, you should say that this is awesome. It's pretty spectacular. The excitement and the anticipation has been building up all afternoon. Like I said, we started off not knowing what on earth they were going for, why they were marching so quickly. And it has been amazing to finally see what these cats have been intrigued by. And how funny is it that it's, well, one of the larger mammals out here. I don't know if she's moved. She actually could still be in there. She was off to the left. Did you see her move again, Manu? You have to just stare into this grass, and you'll just get a little sign every now and then. This is a tricky one. Let me check with my binoculars. Binoculars are a very, very useful tool to have on safari with you as well. It's amazing what you can see. The giraffe is not staring at us anymore, and for quite some time they were fixated upon us. They were quite curious, but now she's looking down below. Manu, let me quickly reposition. Let me just get in front of those trees. We're not going to drive straight up towards the giraffe. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and just hug over here and get around and see if we can look through the next gap. Now, for those of you who have just joined us, welcome on this live action broadcast. My name is Taylor, and on camera bringing you this amazing footage is Manu. And hopefully our patience is going to pay off this afternoon. I've never seen a lion taking down a giraffe before. I've seen much footage of it, but it really is an exceptional thing, and it is a true test of a lion's hunting skill if they're able to get successful here. Me just poke my nose around and see if we can get one more glimpse. Like I said, this has been going on for hours now, and hunts don't necessarily just happen very quickly. It can take them quite some time. It can take them hours. Sometimes it can take them a very short period of time. Now, Anjana, you're wondering if I said how many lions there were. I apologize, I didn't, just because we haven't seen the entire pride. So we started off with 5 lionesses and then 2 young males. So a pride of 7. So it's an exceptional pride, and that's about the right amount of number of the lions that you need in order to take down a giraffe. And hopefully, like I said, the rest of the crew really need to come forward and help this girl out, because at the moment, I don't know if she can do it by herself. They are such incredibly large creatures, the giraffe. I mean, they can weigh well over a ton. And these are the Maasai giraffe too. So you probably find that they weigh about 1.5 tons or so, compared to a lioness that would only get to about 150 kilograms. And that wasn't a particularly big girl too. I think she might be a little bit on the young side, so it hasn't quite developed everything just yet. So how's that in terms of weight ratios? The giraffe really have the height and the weight on their side. So you can imagine, if a giraffe were to chop down onto a lioness, she will be completely goners. It will be a hard one to come back from being stomped on with all that weight and with those very sharp hooves. Now, I don't know where that lion has gone. What I think we will do is we'll try and position and move around and see if we can find them again. But look at that. Isn't that beautiful, that silhouetted giraffe? I think she knows. I think she knows that there's something in the grass. The fact that she doesn't look at us anymore, she's suspicious. And the wind is also now just starting to drop, which is not good for those lions. They make quite a bit of noise as they rustle through the grass. You see, I don't know where she's going to burst out from. And lions typically will try and get as close as they can, within 20 meters ideally, to their prey. And then they will race out at one great speed. Charging speed of a lion is quite quick, 22 meters per second. And they will try and leap onto their prey. So it could happen at any moment. But nothing just yet. Where is she gone? Completely vanished. Perfect camouflage. I'm also trying to scan around now to see if I can see any movement. Can't hear any birds alarming, giving away the presence of the lion. I think she could still be in amongst that shrub. I think she's somewhere in front of us. But maybe on the other side, because I can't see her here. But you may have seen how she was able to completely flatten her body, though. Takes leopard crawling to a whole nother level. Okay, I think we'll sit here for a little bit longer and see what happens, because she could come bursting out the grass. But for now, while we wait, I'm going to send you all away and keep an eye out for those notifications as to when we go live, because Manu and I are going to be sitting here. We're going to be waiting to see what happens with this pride of lions and this herd of giraffe. So in the meantime, hopefully we'll see you all soon. Hello again. Right, I don't know where this cat has gone, and I don't want to move around here too much, so we might just stay put for the moment. But what I am going to do is send you back to South Africa. I didn't quite hear what Rolf has got, but I'm sure it's going to be spectacular.
Okay, folks, so we're still sitting out with Hosana, who's doing what cats do best, rolling around and sleeping off the midday heat. And while we're sitting here, I've just been going through the whole family tree. Now, for any of the newer viewers, Hosana, which is this leopard we're looking at now, was born on the 6th of February 2016. So he's coming up for 2 years old, and he's a very big cat for that age. He'll look up every now and then. And his two sisters, who were also born by Kruger, which means the queen, who is assumed to be dead or disappeared or left the area completely. She gave birth to 2 females in 2006, and that is now Shadow and Tandi. So they're a lot older than Hosana. He did have a sister called Shongile, and it's assumed that she is dead as well, but not sure. So that is the group here. Hosana's father is Tingana. So, and then on the property as well, so we've got Shadow and Tandi and Hosana. Greasy asking the question, I didn't get the first part of it. It's saying something about adapting while sleeping. Now, I'm just going to ask just for the first part of that question again, just so I can answer your question nicely for you. Alright, I'm not getting the first part of the question there. Adapting while they're sleeping. Alright. Okay, I've got the question nicely now. Risi, can leopards be attacked while they're sleeping? Absolutely they can, but remembering that the animals that will attack them while they're sleeping would generally be hyena or lion, and other predators like that. So it could also be wild dogs coming past. So, cheetah wouldn't generally take a chance with leopard because they're on a little bit of a lighter scale than leopards. They're built more for speed, so they wouldn't really take a chance, and they're one of the predators that do move around during the day, as do wild dogs, both being day hunters, trying to avoid these bigger cats, the leopard and the lion. So sleeping like that, you generally would say that cheetah, wild dog, not particularly going to bother leopards. Those are the ones that they'll probably come into contact with the most during the day. And then lions, yes, if lions were walking around and he was sleeping like that, they would attack him. But that's also why every now and then he does pick his head up. He just has a quick look around, and also the advantage of going and climbing up a lovely tree, and then he can really relax, because the chances of a lion coming up a tree are very slim, and if they do, they're going to warn him, because they are clumsy climbers, and he will know long before they get anywhere near him that they're coming, and he could then just jump out of the tree and climb up another one. So their biggest enemy or predator would be that of lions and other leopard per se, because they also are territorial, so they'll also fight with each other. So yes, please keep those questions coming in. We love spending time with leopards, and we love having the interaction with everybody out there. So as I've said, the sun is now dipping a little bit behind the clouds. We have been relieved a little bit of the heat, so it's cooling off slightly. We might get an opportunity to see him get up soon. Palin making the comment that they look so clean and beautiful, like they've just had a wash. Well, if you've got a domestic cat at home, you will also notice that they do spend a lot of time cleaning themselves with their tongue. They also lick their paws and wipe it around the head area. So cats are very good at cleaning themselves, especially leopard. Lions not so much, but they do have a lot more hair, especially around the head. So male lions can look a little bit more scraggly than leopards, but the leopard's hair is a little bit shorter, so it is, I would say, more easily maintained. It's like a long-haired dog versus a short-haired dog, or I'm just trying to draw a comparison to a domestic animal that you might have at home. But absolutely, they're almost self-cleaning. They look fantastically beautiful with that coat that looks like it's been run through the washing machine. Proud Cap Mama asking the question, do domestic cats and leopards share other similar behaviors? Well, we can draw a lot of comparisons with most cats. If you look at the way this cat is lying and you look at the way that your domestic cat lies, when he's sleeping at home, your domestic cat, and he stands up, the first thing that they do is that cat stretching almost every single muscle in their body, and that enables them to be able to move from stationary to sprinting immediately after that. So that behavior of going from sleeping to activity, almost identical in all cats. The sleeping part of things, I'm sure if you've got a domestic cat, you will see how much they sleep. They can sleep 20 hours a day. It all depends on the weather. You can see with the domestic cats at home as well. When it's hot, they spend a lot of time sleeping. If it's cooler, they are generally more active. And the whole behavior around hunting with these cats as well is very similar, whether they're attacking impala or buffalo or little mice at home. It's that instinctive behavior of chasing a moving target. So if you pull a little piece of string for a cat at home, what does he do? He pounces. Now, if a warthog come running past this leopard at any moment, I can guarantee you he will jump up and chase it. It's instinctive, and that's where we get a bit of problem scenarios with farmers. That's where leopards and wild cats run into problems, because if they get into an area where there are sheep or goats in an enclosed area, and they start to chase them, normally in the wild the rest would all run away, so they would grab one and kill it, but because all the rest is still hanging around, so that instinctive killing behavior just continues, and they could literally wipe out an entire herd in the space of an evening and not having eaten much. And that's why the farmers really despise the predators, especially in the olden days, that we say, years gone by, when they didn't understand behavior per se of these cats, and they just thought that they were being spiteful, killing an entire herd and not eating anything. So things have changed slightly. There's also less predatory cats in domestic areas, but it does happen with caracal and leopards getting into these kraals and areas, because they can go under fences. They are not held into the reserve. They obviously do stay here, but if this leopard wanted to leave the Kruger Park, it will. It is not, doesn't matter what fence you put around, they will climb over it, they'll climb under it. I just actually recently today saw a whole series of photos of a leopard leaving the Kruger Park via the top of the fence, the electric fence I might add, jumping to the top and climbing through. So quite incredible. They're not going to be kept in. So there's lots of behaviors that is almost identical throughout. So to answer that question, it's all just the difference being in the size of the cat and its social behavior. Mostly of them, almost all cats are solitary. That's why the lions are quite special. They're gregarious, they stay in groups, but the individual behavior is still very similar. And they will also in cases where you do have domestic cats inside a house, the wind is picking up a little bit, they do get a little bit confused with the behavior. If you have a lot of domestic cats, they get quite confused because they're normally solitary. I mean, a domestic cat coming from the African wild cat in the Cleopatra era, where she would have domesticated cats, there's just quite a strong breeze coming through here, and Hosana's lifted his head up. He's maybe smelling some of the prey towards Chitwa Dam. But yes, so domestic cats being domestic cats, they were domesticated during the Cleopatra era, and not normal for them to be in big groups, and that's why you have a little bit of weird behavior happening inside a house where you've got lots of cats, and they start marking the furniture, and people think they're crazy, but it's actually us, the crazy ones, sticking lots of cats in an enclosed space. So while we sit here with Hosana, we're going to stay with him until he moves. Let's go over to Jamie, who's got some elephants for you.
Some elephants in a really, truly beautiful setting. The sun's poked out from behind the clouds. There's a storm in the background. The light is all golden and beautiful. I just had to stop and share it with you. You can actually hear the thunder rumbling in the distance. Beautiful. The most beautiful light in the world. During thunderstorms, I always feel safest around elephants, and it's probably slightly irrational thing, because of course they do get struck, just like lots of different animals do get struck by lightning occasionally. But I once had a sighting where, it wasn't a sighting actually, I was sitting with my family on the banks of a river watching elephants feed below us. And all of a sudden, it was just a grey, gloomy day, but there'd be no sign. Oh, such a tiny baby in that grass. Look at that, it's actually almost hidden. There was no sign of any kind of storm or anything like that. And all of a sudden there was this low rumble from the elephants, and they sprinted out of the river and into the cover of the trees. Hello, little one. And 2 seconds later there was this massive, massive lightning strike just in front of us, and a huge crash of thunder. Oh, you are very small. You almost disappear. Hey, hidden behind the grass. Oh, talking, Ellies. What you saying, Mommy? Rumbling to each other. Jonathan, yes, elephants do use their ears. Oh, look, elephants at the end of the rainbow. Elephants do use their ears as cooling systems. So the skin is, obviously the ear itself is not very thick, and they have a network of blood vessels that transport the warm blood to where it can be cooled down, and then obviously the cooled blood then gets pumped to the rest of their bodies. So that, combined with a wrinkly skin, the way in which the elephants manage to cool themselves in very, very high temperatures. Oh, you elephants couldn't have planned that better if you tried. Nature providing us with a work of art. Wow. Wow. Rama to Joy, and I'm not sure if it was Billy or who the third one was, but apparently you've guessed that the word of the day was gabbling. Lily. You've guessed that the word was gabbling. The word is not gabbling, although I think we do plenty of that. It hasn't worked out too well because Taylor didn't manage to say it. And the word of the day was lackadaisical. I used it 3 times in description of myself and my social media presence, and I can't remember the other time, and then 1 time to describe the lions. So there you go. Lackadaisical was the word of the day, but highly unfair, given that Taylor didn't say it today. So we do apologize. We'll try and do better next time. But what do you think? Do you think it might be a fun game to play? An elephant with a very distinctive tusk. I know that female. I'm really sorry. I'm going to have to move. There's a car behind me. The other half of the rainbow. Donnie, you got it. You go, Donnie. Donnie guessed that the word of the day was lackadaisical. Brilliant. Well done, Donnie. Bravo, sir. Or ma'am. Very pretty. Come. Oh, he stopped to take photos too. Do you want to look at the rainbow over there instead? Hi. Beautiful. A really good way to end off what has actually been a truly stunning afternoon. I don't think it's been lackadaisical at all. It is... Okay, it's nearly time for us to finish up our portion of this afternoon sunset safari. Off you go to Taylor so that she, where that came from, can tell you a little bit more about the word lackadaisical.
Off go the giraffe, and off goes the lioness. And they are running away. Look at those giraffe now. Look how far look at the distance that they've put between that lion. Isn't that incredible? Well done, giraffe. I'm convinced that female knew that lion was there, though, the entire time. She was watching, like I said, if you were watching the action broadcast, she wasn't watching us. She was paying no attention. She was looking right down next to the shrub, and we repositioned. And then we realized exactly where she was. And they might go for those giraffe again, but they're going to have to put quite a bit of work into it again. I feel sorry for this young girl because she really has tried. She's been patient. She's done all the right things this afternoon, and her team was not there to support her. It's important to be a team player, isn't it? You can't be catching big animals like that all by yourself. So I think she's learned a valuable lesson. Hopefully she goes back to the rest of the pride and ignores them or catches something small and devours it, because she deserves it. The rest of the pride were absolutely useless. But very cool to watch that all unfold. Just unfortunately not quick enough at getting her running, chasing the giraffe. Very cool though. Anyways, that was exciting, don't you think? I thought that was pretty spectacular. But we're definitely going to start heading home now. We have got a far way to go, and we're going to drive. I want to show you now what we're about to drive into. How exciting is that? Aren't you jealous that I have to head into that? Megan, is it raining in camp? It must be pouring down. It has to be pouring down with rain. Little rainbow. Oh, hang on. I can see Megan is trying to talk to me, but did you get any of those? Go. You got a beep. I didn't get anything. Megan, can you hear us? Can you copy us? No, we have no comms, unfortunately. I don't know what's happened. But, Manu, you're not getting anything, are you? Hey. Unfortunately, Both Manu and I are not getting communication. I can see the radio is going. Yeah, I can sort of hear, but not really. There's a serious problem in this car. Oh, there we go. Okay. Sorry about that, everybody, but a beautiful view to finish on nonetheless. It was lots and lots of fun driving around in the Mara, but from us, unless you see something exciting on the way home, keep an eye out for those live notifications, but we'll be seeing you bright and early tomorrow morning. I'm going to send you back across to Scotty D, enjoying the Sabi sand.
Perfect timing. A tiny little scrub here just popped across the road. There it goes. It's not tiny, but it's a small one. Well done, Ferg. And I'll say it's kind of medium-sized. I love the way they can swivel their ears. You can clearly see he's got one still listening to us, or not anymore. Not finding us too interesting. And we probably just flushed it from its hiding place. They tend to like to hide out in small thickets during the day and get more active as the sun begins to set. And it sounds like it's done just that up in the Mara. So goodbye to them. You're just stuck with Ralph and myself for the rest of the drive. My plans are to head towards the Birmingham Coalition of Lions that Ralph was with at the beginning of the drive and see what they get up to. What are those things on its ears? It's hard to work out exactly what they are. Those little spots. I wonder if they're little ticks. Can't be certain from here. Very good. So we've had a very pleasant afternoon perusing around Djuma. All the water holes going on there. And it's just been good to familiarize myself with the roads and all the little tracks that I had forgotten a lot about. So it's been a good first reintroduction to Djuma to get my bearings and remember all the road names and networks. And then my next little adventure will be heading across to Chitwa, when I was here about 1.5 years ago. So looking to get into that little property along with this. But what I'm looking forward to the most of all is doing some bushwalks. So I'm going to be doing my first bushwalk tomorrow, which I'm looking forward to. Having not been on a bushwalk for many, many months, it's going to be good fun. And again, I'm going to have to hone my skills with regards to all things bushwalk, the tracking, the listening. Thankfully, I'm going to have Herbie and all his skills alongside to help me. Okay, well, I'm not sure. I don't know if yet on Wolfers ditched Hosana and now possibly heading back towards those 4 male lions. I think it could be the case. Because I heard somebody that was quite Ralph-like on the radio earlier calling himself into that sighting, but I wasn't certain of it. So if that is the case, it's absolutely fine. We'll continue searching for Tundi. I've got a burning desire to try and find her, and the more time we spend with her, the more likely it will be that we'll get to see her tiny little cubs for the first time. And I'm guessing they could be approaching kind of 3 weeks to a month of age now. It's a complete guess because I'm not sure exactly when that den site was found, and nobody is certain, I don't think, as to when exactly she would have given birth, although they could be. Either way though, it's at any point now we may be lucky enough to see those tiny cute little fur balls, so that's something to look forward to. Anyway, we are going to send you back to Ralph now to get an update on exactly what his plans are.
Okay folks, so while Scott is looking for Tundi, we lost our lovely Hosana. as he exited the property. So what we've decided to do is take a nice little scenic route all the way on back towards where we had the Birmingham Boys this afternoon earlier. And now I just want to stop in here because I was here yesterday when we had a couple of elephants at this waterhole. In the background there's some saddle-billed storks that I believe Scott was looking at as well, so they're still here. And in the water, but we'll stay with those saddle-billed storks, I just want to tell you that I believe that the elusive animal that keeps coming up and down in the water here, I believe, is Scuba Steve, because I think he's left his female companion up at Biffleshoek Dam, and she's now very lonely up there in that pan. They must have had a domestic dispute, because he's now left there, and the behavior of this hippo is very characteristic of our very Scuba Steve. And that exhibition right there is what is leading me to believe that it's him, because he maintains cover under the water, and when he does show himself, it's only his nostrils. So we'll just wait for his nostrils to pop up, which should happen in the next minute or so. Up, there we go. There he is, taking a breath. Classic Scuba Steve, and he's gone. Right. So at least we've found that he's alright. I don't know why he's moved to another waterhole, but all the same, at least he's and his lady is all the way on the other side of the concession. But for whatever reason, it's their own problem. I'm not going to get involved in that. You know how dangerous that can be. So let's head towards the lions and see if they maybe have that time of the day. There's 4 of them, as I've been chatting with VM, and they head up to some hunting, which is what we're hoping for. Now, we're coming up towards these saddle-billed storks here, directly. Too much, but we do need to go past them. So I'm just going to give them a chance to saunter on down towards the water. They're actually very big birds. If you stand next, they're the size of a small child, and their legs are extremely long. Very beautiful bull. As I make my way towards them, and I always try not to disturb too much. Thank you, guys and girls. Right.
Get it over and done with. Welcome back. Sounds like Ralph must be moving through a little bit of a dip. So we have finally worked out what is going on. Ralph is going back to the heights, so we will go back to the leopard that he was with and see what happens there. I haven't heard any updates, so I hope the leopard hasn't disappeared, but we'll just make our way down there and hopefully get lucky. And along the way, of course, anything could happen. Very happy memories of this tree. Can't remember which leopard it was we found up here. I think it could have been Kuchava on a duiker kill. It was just up on that branch over there. And I think I'd been teamed up with VM on camera. And we'd been searching the whole evening, working this area. And eventually, just before the end of drive, we stumbled upon him and his duiker kill. It's one of my favorite things, coming back to a wilderness area where you've spent a lot of time, and as you drive around, all the memories come flooding back of the different sightings you've had in different areas, different roads, different trees. And looking forward to sharing a few more wonderful moments out here with you guys in the coming months. It's a very special wilderness that we're very lucky to be at. They complement each other extremely well. And who knows where the next location will be, where the third Safari Life camp will be set up. I'm certainly looking forward to that already. I think I saw a duiker on the road, but let's just make sure it wasn't a leopard. Which tells me that it was a duiker, because if it was a leopard it would have continued just slowly walking down the road. The duikers are quite skittish. Nothing worse than kind of driving past something that you're not entirely certain of, because then it plays on your mind for the rest of the drive. Lady Starfire, you'd like to know which animal I am looking forward to tracking down whilst on foot here in the next few months. Leopard, I think it's fair to say leopard are probably my favorite animals to track for two reasons. It's challenging in that there's usually only one of them, so you've only got one set of footprints, whereas lions there's often multiple members within the pride and they've got bigger feet. So yeah, I guess the challenge of being able to track down one single animal that's got incredibly good camouflage makes it one of my favorites. I did realize this morning, I tagged along on James's bushwalk just to refresh my little memory of how it's all done, and what I can assure you is that my tracking skills have declined greatly in the last year and a half that I haven't been doing much tracking. So I've got a lot of work to do. I was walking behind Herbie, he was spotting the tracks with ease, and I was seeing a blank canvas. So there's a lot of work to be done. Thankfully it's not going to be first time learning, it's going to be kind of more refreshing of skills. So yeah, looking forward to tracking down leopard, but any of the big cats I do enjoy tracking. The big elephant bull can also be a good subject to test your skills against. It's tough at this time of the year as well, Lady Starfire. It's just so thick and green and the roads aren't too dusty. Hello Brenda. You'd like to know if I remember any old bird nests from when I was here before, and I used to spend a lot of time seeking out bird nests, for those of you who don't know me. And Brenda, I'm looking forward to seeking out a few more. I've driven past a couple, but haven't spent enough time to know if there's anything actually inhabiting them at the moment. But you'll be glad to know I've just heard a report a little bit earlier this afternoon on a bird's nest that was found on this very road just up ahead. So let's see if we can't find at least my first nest of the Djuma summer this season. I was thinking about it earlier. I'm hoping that we can maybe even invest in a small periscope cam that we can feed into the cavities of trees to show you guys a better glimpse of what's going on inside. What did I use before? Did I use my GoPro or my cell phone that I managed to hold in? I can't remember what we used to do, but we kind of semi-made a plan somehow to show you some visuals from inside some cavities. A lilac-breasted roller's nest worked out really well for quite a while. Better technology to showcase what's going on once we do find the nests. So apparently it's a chagrin nest, so really looking forward to seeing how that all looks, and apparently it's really close to the road, so we should in theory be able to get you guys some great
Okay, folks, I don't know what happened there, but we're having a little bit of gremlins, a little bit of problems with the signal, but nonetheless, we're on our way towards the Lions, the Birmingham Boys. It's that time of evening when it might be perfect time for them to start waking up, start moving, start hunting. So that's what we're hoping for. And just to repeat, we did lose Hosana going off into the the other property, so we couldn't follow him anymore. And we thought we want to come and see what these male lions get up to. It's always exciting when you have a nice big group of males in your area, because you know that always got an opportunity for them hunting, and when they go hunting, it's going to be big animals that they're looking for. So not that we're bloodthirsty, but it's part of the bush, part of the things that we would like to be watching and witness to, because it's really a very big part of what happens out here. So let's see, we're going to make our way. We're not too far away at the moment. We're driving in a westerly direction. That sun's starting to set nicely, as you would see in front of us here. We were lucky in the later parts of the afternoon with a little bit of cloud cover. It did cool things off substantially, and that even helped Hosana with a little bit of a breeze that came through there. He even stood up a little bit earlier than expected because of the drop in temperature. I'm always just having a quick glance over at the map. I'm still learning the roads, but I'm getting there slowly but surely. I already know the area that I'm in, and I've started to orientate myself nicely. So I'm getting my teeth sunk in nicely, and sooner or later it's going to be like second nature. So I hope that you join me in this journey of discovery that I have been partaking in. And I always love the bush, and I love new experiences. I find myself a little bit like the wild dogs. For me, you know, people have often asked, the viewers have been asking, what is my soul animal? And I was doing a little bit of thinking about it. You know, I really do like honey badgers and so on, but I think my soul animal is, over the last couple of days, having thought about it, I think more like that of a wild dog. Very nomadic, moving around, getting itchy feet, not staying in one place long enough to get bored of it, but I'm getting quite happy where I am at the moment, and this is a very new challenge for me. I've always guided guests on the back of a vehicle, so it's quite different looking down the eyeball of a camera with nobody to actually physically react to you, but that's why I really like the interaction over the interweb with the Twitter and YouTube. It's a lovely setting here. Off in the background there you can see the start of the Drakensberg Mountains, and the sun going to start poking out behind those clouds. It's going to make for an absolutely beautiful sunset. So, but we've got a little bit of time before then, and we're coming up Impala Road towards Impala Flats, which is where these lions are, and we should be with them in a minute or two. So, and remember these speed bumps that we're going and we keep having to slow down for, they are speed bumps, but not for vehicles. They do assist in slowing the game viewers down and making us not drive too fast on the roads, which is a bit of a secondary function, but they are speed bumps more so for the water. Now, it's very important for the conservation and the management team of the reserves and the areas. Once you open up a road like this, you're opening up this area to erosion, because it's now exposed, there's no vegetation on it anymore. So as soon as there's some rain, water will also follow the route of least resistance, the same as the animals. So you've got this open space, and it's a lovely route for the water to flow on. And as the water picks up speed, it picks up particles with it. So it starts to cut into the road and make first little gullies, and then it can make massive dongas. So that's what we call it out here, dongas. That's a big gully. And so what the speed bumps do is they slow down the momentum of the water. They put them every little few hundred meters, sometimes closer together. It depends on how steep the area is, that they would put them closer together in those areas. And then just off to the side of that speed bump, they put the mitre drain back into the vegetation, which then directs that water back in there. Now we're just arriving here at the lions. So lovely conservation tactics there. We open up a road, we also need to assist in trying to stop the erosion. So let's move in here. These lions are still flat out, but we might be here just in time before they start moving. Now that one in front of us has moved a little bit out of the shade because it's nice and cool now, so we've hit it just at the right time, I believe. Folks, once again, please give us your questions and your comments while we sit here with these cats and hope that they stand up pretty soon. Now, you can see a lovely view of that mane on this male lion, and he's quite a bit darker than the one that we were looking at earlier, but you see that lovely mane. That a lot to do with visual display between males, trying to make themselves look bigger, but also helping when they do fight with each other, mostly between males. It is also a lot of protection for that neck area, which is what they would be going for. Oh, the life of a sleeping lion. Not even moving, and the breathing is slowed down substantially from earlier, not breathing as fast as they were, so definitely feeling the effects now of the cooling environment, and they will be much more willing to be active, and they're not very fat, so they could be hungry. They look in perfect nick, but they're not absolutely fat like they would be if they've just fed, so it might be that time. So Peyton saying back to the B-boys, time for some epic viewing and maybe some roars. Absolutely, that's why I wanted to come back here, because with that sun setting, it is time for them to mark their territories and do a bit of a roar and possibly get a bit of a hunt. The only thing that might inhibit their hunting a little bit tonight is the fact that we have full moon, and it's heading towards full moon, supermoon tomorrow evening, 3rd of December. We might get a view of it just before sunset or before the end of the show. Ether asking the question, how old are these boys? Now, my educated guess is around 6 or 7 years old. And as I mentioned earlier, generally male lions will come into their prime around 4 or 5 years old, and they will stay in their prime for another 4 or 5 years. And generally, and we always say this, generally a good life of a male lion is around 12, 13 years, whereas females can live closer to 20, even maybe a little bit more. In captivity they can live over 20 years, but males live a lot riskier lives. It's generally because of fighting with other males, especially in the wild like this. They'll have that 4 or 5 years in their prime and then generally start to lose condition, and new younger males will come into their area and fight them off, and then they will live a nomadic solitary life once more, as they did before they established territory, and eventually die a lonely death. And the females stay in their prides, and they're not chased out. They're normally taken over by different males, but generally not chased away. It's not very often that you get solitary females, but it does happen, and it can be sometimes where the females have a little bit of squabbles and they chase one of the females out, and she can become solitary then and also form a sort of small coalition with either her cubs or some solitary males, and that's when they need to become a little bit ingenious, because they will then be solitary, but these are gregarious cats and they do well in teams, so much better if they stay in a group. But now that brings us to the fact, and it is well documented and well spoken about, and I'm sure you've all heard about it, but for those that haven't, that's the reason why we we get the phenomenon called infanticide, because male lions, they live for about 4 or 5 years, come into their prime at about that age, and they stay in their prime for about 4 or 5 years. So it's a very short window for them to pass their genes on. And when they've eventually take over a pride, and they fight for that, they chase away the dominant males, coalition or not, and they earn their stripes, they got that pride now. If there are females with young, they immediately kill them. And the reason for that is they've only got that 4 or 5 years, and if they don't kill those babies, it could take up to 2 years before those females will become receptive again. And in such time, that means that they've wasted half of their prime, and a lot of their genes would then not have been passed. So if they come in to a pride, kill those babies immediately, those females could be receptive within 2 months. So they are maximizing the opportunity to pass their genes through the females and into the babies. That's the real reason. They are not being spiteful. Jen asking the question, how dark can a male lion's mane become? Can it go completely black? Yes, Jen, it can, and it is very characteristic of the Kalahari and desert lions. They seem to have the gene or melanism, coloration of the mane in the more arid regions of South Africa, and moving into Botswana and Namibia. The Kalahari and Trans-Kalahari game reserves, all in that arid area, is very characteristic of black-maned lions. They are extremely beautiful, and it is particular of that area that we get naturally occurring lions like that. Now you see this lion on the right hand side here that we're going to look at. His mane is a lot darker around the chest there, and the Kalahari maned lions, they start to go that dark color in its entirety. So it is a spectacle to behold. You see those black maned lions, and you can often hear people talking about those Kalahari or black maned lions, very special in that coloration of theirs. And it's to do with melanism. Liz asking the question, will I be making a famous marula jelly as well? Well, I know we do get the famous amarula cream. We get marula lotions and potions. We get all sorts. I haven't heard of a marula jelly, but I'm sure it is very tasty, and I would like to find out a little bit more about a marula jelly. I know that we get marula flavored juices now, even water flavored with marula. It's very tasty, and if any of you have tasted marula, I'm sure that you would vouch for that. And those that haven't, you should try one day. They're almost like apricots in their texture and taste. And I hear from Ryan in FC that Scott makes it, so I'm going to have to try some. We've got Scott in camp that is going to make some, so I'll report back once I've tasted it. Off in the distance here we've got some Koran calling, the black-bellied Koran. He's doing the boop, boop. Right, so as we've been talking about the marulas and the marula jelly, let's cross over to Scott, who I think can give you a little bit more information on that.
Hello everyone. I'm evidently having some trouble with my earpiece. You know what the trouble is? It's unplugged. That will explain it. I was busy trying to troubleshoot as to what was going on, and you've come at a good time. Ferg's making it tricky for you. Here we go. Look at this. Now, I am guessing that this is young Hosana. I am just guessing because we've just got into this area. We actually had driven straight past him as he was snoozing up in this marula tree. But thankfully on our way back through the area, we got alerted to his presence, mainly because another safari vehicle had spotted him. So we can't claim the credit for this, but certainly very, very happy to be in this situation with you guys. And he is a beautiful, beautiful looking individual. And what I'm hoping is that he's going to continue to play around in this tree, whether he decides to jump up higher or whether he decides to descend. The way he's panting, I'm guessing he may have been chasing something up in that tree. Maybe it was a squirrel he was after. He is still a youngster, so he will still be a little bit more playful when it comes to possible prey that he'll seek out. Hello, boy. What are your plans? And why? I'd really love to know why he's panting so much. I could only guess that he had a go at something else. I mean, it is fairly warm, so that could be the reason as well. I don't know exactly where he was when you were looking at him with Ralph a little bit earlier, but I'm guessing it wasn't too far from here. I don't know this area well, so I'm not exactly certain. Oh, I've just made a cardinal error, and I've been calling her a him. So, I'm sure a lot of you have already noticed that it wasn't him. So, feel free to let me know who this leopard is, as and when you work it out. Now, what I'm guessing is that she may actually have a kill nearby. Who could she be? I definitely didn't see any testicles underneath that tail. Hey? Unless I'm getting myself double confused, Jen, it is in fact him, and I didn't see some telltale parts of his anatomy that would confirm that he is in fact a male. Ah, thank you to James. I'm guessing it could be James Hendry, but who knows, not certain at this stage. And you say that it looks like it could be Kuchava. So, thank you, James. It's not James Hendry. Hi, guys. Thank you for spotting that. Just saying hello and thank you to the touristas who are heading off with their guide. They've obviously had a very productive afternoon with some more good prospects because they didn't spend too long with this lady. What an absolute treat. I love seeing leopards up tree. Now, a reason why she could be full-bellied is she may already have a kill somewhere nearby, possibly dangling on one of the branches of these trees. She doesn't look hugely full-bellied, but leopards do have the joy of being able to more casually snack on their kills over a period of 3 or 4 days if there's enough meat. So they don't need to gorge themselves quite as much as lions need to. Hi Mike, you'd like to know if this leopard is doing any hunting at the moment. It doesn't appear like at the moment she's actively hunting. Having said that, though, she's got a very good vantage point from up there, so she could be scanning for her next possible meal. And I do have a feeling that she was quite active before she got up into this tree, because she still seems to be panting quite heavily. Again, it could just be that she's hot, because it is a fairly warm afternoon, but I'm not convinced. I've been, I guess, a little bit out of the loop with leopards and their ongoings in the Sabi sands over the last year and a half, so maybe it's just me who's not too certain about this lady and what exactly her status is. But what must be said is that even though she's not actively moving now, she could well do some hunting from this tree at any given point. Hello, Andrew.
How are you doing?
Very good. How are you?
Good.
You too. We'll catch up soon.
Beautiful.
Hi, guys. Sorry, everyone. I just had to say hello to Andrew Koza, the man with the biggest smile in the Sabi sands. He's a wonderful guy that a lot of you would have seen or got to know in your time here, if you have been lucky enough to come out on safari to this area. And it was great to see him briefly now. I think we can reposition a little bit and get you a slightly different angle. How cool! We thought we had one leopard, but it was another. While I started saying it was him, I thought, oh, this is a slippery slope. I don't have any idea where Hosana had been seen earlier on, and for good reason, I got it completely wrong in the end. Hello, Tanith, you'd like to know what animal runs the biggest risk of overheating? Well, out of the big cats, I'd say it's likely that any one of them could overheat with equal chances. So I don't think there's a massive difference between lion, leopard, or cheetah, and it would require there to be very, very strange scenarios for them to actually overheat. Ordinarily, they'll just relax in the hotter parts of the day, and it's more that they need to catch their breath when they take breaks, as opposed to actually physically overheating. It's the same as us. Our body prevents us from getting into a state where we can overheat, because we run out of air and oxygen and energy before we get to that stage most of the time. There's some beautiful golden light bathing down on her now. How cool is this? What have you spotted out there? Anything of interest? Now, I'm still quite puzzled as to why she's panting so much, and I'm going to put it down to the fact that I haven't spent a lot of time with leopards over the last year and a half, and therefore I've got a little bit rusty. So I'm not entirely sure that it's her belly that could be full, putting a bit of extra pressure on her diaphragm. I've got a feeling that's what I'm kind of leaning towards. She's been here relaxing for long enough to have caught her breath had she had been out of breath from hunting. A short chase after something. So it leads me to believe she could well have just had a good snack, or possibly be midway through one. But for now, very good prospects with her up in the tree, because at some point she's going to have to come down, and hopefully we'll still be here when she decides to do that. Thank you very, very much, Ellen, for your assistance. And Ellen has just kindly provided me with some information on Kuchava, and she is a 3-year-old female who was born to Tandi, a female leopard who currently, hopefully, has some tiny little fur balls that she's going to reveal to us in the coming weeks. So thank you so much, Ellen, and for any of you who are new to the Safari Live experience, it's very important that you know that it is quite easy to be able to distinguish between the different leopards that we see, and there's quite a lot of information and history on most of the leopards that do get seen in our area of work here in the Sabi Sands. So often We rely on you guys, the viewers, to help not only identify the cheetah, the leopards, but also provide us with some interesting stories about them, stories that you may have heard or seen on social media. But I think it is probably the first time I've seen this individual. Hello, young Tim, who's just 3 years old. You would like to know what is the lifespan of a leopard, and it really does depend, because just like us as humans, we all live for different lengths of time. So it could be that a leopard's unlucky and lives for a short time, maybe only a few months, or if it's lucky, it'll live to about 15 to 20 years of age if they're very, very lucky. So they don't live for nearly as long as we do as humans. And unluckily for the leopard, they've got a lot more threats like lions and hyenas that can catch and kill baby leopards. So our upbringing is usually a little bit safer, and our chance of making it to old age is also a little bit safer than it is for the leopard. So they've got lots of obstacles, but usually around 15 years would be a good life for a leopard. Let's take another look. She seems to be scanning around again. Interesting theory that's just come through from Stacy. Thank you for planting the seed into my head and now everyone's. Could it be that she's possibly pregnant, and it's the pressure of those little baby fur balls pushing up against her diaphragm, not a kill that she's been feeding on? It is possible. Leopards will start giving birth from this age, and wouldn't that be fascinating if it is in fact that she's uncomfortably pregnant? It would be wonderful if not only her but also her mother have a litter of cubs at the same time. So yes, that certainly is possible. Let's take a closer look now. You can see she's not comfortable there, which is hopefully going to mean she's going to either reposition onto a slightly different section of this tree, or she may well just come down the tree entirely, both of which will be good options for us. We'll take either at this stage. She definitely tends to be looking in that direction far more than any other direction. So I'm wondering if there isn't something across there, some possible prey. Hard to be certain, but I think it's fair to say that we can assume there's something happening over there, because there are simply something that's causing her to keep staring across. And I mean, we could get incredibly lucky. It's something that I've never seen and may well never see in my entire career as a guide, but some people have been lucky enough to witness leopards leaping out of trees down onto their prey. Of course, it requires a lot of variables to come together. The leopard, A, to be up a tree, and B, their prey to walk directly beneath her or him. But one day one of us will get lucky, and I'm looking forward to that day, whoever it may be who is in the right place at the right time. I've seen one clip, I'm not sure where exactly it was filmed in Africa, but the leopard must have jumped out of a tree. It must have been about 8 or 9 meters up in this tree, which is incredibly high. This individual's probably 4 meters, I would say, at the moment off the ground, whereas the other leopard that I'm talking about came down from about twice as high as this individual, which gives you a good idea of how high they're willing to throw themselves from a tree down onto their prey. Hard to believe, actually. Surely you're going to move, Kuchava, rather than lying there uncomfortably for much longer. good prospects. A yawn is always a good sign that they may move. Hello Jack, you would like to know how many calories will a leopard require daily in order to live a healthy life, and I'm not sure on the exact numbers, but on average, once a leopard has had a good meal, which would be about 7 kilograms of meat, it can survive quite comfortably for 3 days. So it's difficult to break up their dietary requirements like ours, because it's not as easy for them to acquire their food as regularly as we do, which means very often they will cash in on a kill and then go for 3 or 4 days without feeding, which means obviously for 3 or 4 days there's absolutely nothing passing through their digestive tract, but yet they still survive. So I guess it's one that needs to be broken down and extrapolated over a longer period, like a 3 or 4 day period, which is generally how often they will make a kill and feed if the going is good. Wonderful. Well, we're going to sit tight here and get you guys hopefully some visuals of her coming down this tree as and when she decides to, but for now we're going to send you across to Ralph for an update on how the lions are getting along.
Thank you, Scott. And well, as you can see, folks, these lions haven't moved much, except for the odd arm or leg twitch or the tail flapping over, and just now one of them actually rolled over, which was terribly exciting. But you can see the sun is going down, and it is making for a wonderful setting here with these lions. A little bit of cloud around, so that always adds to those pink and golden hues, which makes it absolutely beautiful. And there's nothing more beautiful to me than an African sunset with a little bit of vegetation around, a little bit of clouds. Peter asking the question, are all 4 of them still here? Yes, they are. There's another 2 that are just off screen, just behind them, but we've got the clearest view of these 2, and it is very clear that if 2 of them or 1 of them moves, we'll generally be able to see the other ones follow suit. So we're just sitting with these 2, and there's a couple of other vehicles that have just moved in the area that are also watching the lions. So we're just staying with these 2 and watching the sun go down. There looks like a couple of magpie shrikes, long-tailed shrikes, magpie shrikes, old and the new name. Lovely looking birds with their call. Lovely long tails, as the name suggests. If I'm not mistaken, I'm looking into the silhouette. I do think it is those. Yeah, that is that. So, folks, just a reminder about the supermoon that I was talking about. The clouds, unfortunately, have just covered the moon behind us, but tomorrow evening is the first and last supermoon that we will be having this year. The other 2 times that it happened, it coincided with the new moon, so it wasn't visible because the moon was covered. The light of the moon was covered. Now, a supermoon is when a full moon coincides with the orbit of the moon coming the closest to Earth. Because, as you know, the orbit of the moon does not go in a perfect circle. It is slightly elongated, so more like a rugby ball or an American football around the Earth. And when it's at its closest point near to Earth, coinciding with the full moon, and at a distance of about 222,000 miles, which sounds very far, but at that closest point, coinciding with a full moon, we will see the moon at about 16 times brighter and about 7% larger. So please do yourself a favor, if it is a clear sky tomorrow evening, have a look at the moon, get your binoculars out, take some photos, because it is going to be absolutely stunning. And especially around sunset, with the moon rising at that particular time, it is giving us the illusion of the moon being even larger. So something to think about for tomorrow, as this lion rolls over and continues his slumber in a very relaxed pose. Gust asking the question, what time of the day are lions most active? The answer to that, Gust, is no time of the day. Generally, they are not active during the day at all. As you can see, they can sleep 18 to 20 hours a day. So, in effect, lions are very lazy animals, or they can be perceived as such. When they are active, they are either marking their territory, drinking water, or hunting, or mating. So it's all life functions that they are fulfilling when they are awake and active, and the rest of the time is spent like this, where not even moving a leg is of enough energy. They are completely flat out. That is amazing to see. But we see this quite regularly, and hence the reason we do hang around at that time when we think they're going to start becoming active. But it all depends on how hot it's been during the day, when last they fed, when last they drank, if there's any females in the area that they might want to mate with. This all depends or affects their activity. And it is very energy efficient, I believe, to be in a position as such. He is not expending energy except for breathing in and out, which looks totally comfortable in my mind. When I sleep, I like to sleep like a cat. Josh, age 11, asking the question, how much would male lions like this weigh? Well, Josh, you're looking at about 220 kilograms. So it is a very heavy animal. It might not look as much, but they are extremely heavy. If you think 220 kilograms, if we double that, you're talking close on 500 pounds, Josh. It is very heavy. Okay? So, and the females, they'll be more around 120 kilograms, so more or less 250 pounds. So almost half the weight of the males. Now the females are built for stealth and for hunting. The males built for proudness and for fighting between males. But they are capable of being good hunters. And they can bring down massive prey such as buffalo, hippo, elephant, and giraffe. Now, from one hunter to another, let's go over to Scott with Kuchava.
Well, good timing. She literally just sat up. She's been snoozing with her head down. She's been looking less and less alert ever since you left us, until the moment you rejoined. So I think she's excited by the fact that all of you guys are now spying on her. Now, a possible theory is that she may have been chased by something, and that's why she keeps looking back in that direction. And who knows, maybe young Hosana chased her. He'll be of a very similar size to her, I'm guessing. An 18, 19-month-old male will be quite similar in size, possibly actually a little bit bigger than a 3-year-old female. so she would give way to him even though he's half her age. Again, this is all just speculation, which I should probably stop doing so much of. It could have been a lion she ran away from, or who knows. But there is certainly something that seems to be catching her attention off to the west. Hello, Gus. You'd like to know, how do leopards manage to sleep up trees without falling out of them? I guess we should be asking the same questions to all our monkey friends, because they're also good at doing that. I'm not too sure. I mean, I guess us as humans sleep far more deeply than most wild animals do, for obvious reasons. We in theory shouldn't have many threats at night, and therefore sleep with not too many worries in the world. Whereas for most wild animals, even the biggest and dangerous, the Birmingham Male Coalition, they will never sleep as deeply as we do. They'll always be kind of semi-alert, their hearing will always be tuned in, and yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I can understand a leopard sleeping up in a tree and balancing there with more ease than a monkey or a baboon or something more similarly structured to us. Yet they all manage to. So I guess it's going to be an applicable skill not only to leopards who sleep up trees, but a whole bunch of other animals. I guess birds even on a similar page, because they could also keel over at any point. Anyway, I don't think we're going to see her falling out of this tree. Hopefully we will see her coming down, but it's going to have to be quickly, because there is only a short time left on this sunset safari. It's been great fun having you with us, and it's been great fun for myself being back in the Sabi sands, that is for certain, and always good to be teamed up with Ferg on camera. So we've had a great afternoon. I hope you've enjoyed your afternoon, not only here but also with the crew up in the Mara. We've got a lot to look forward to tomorrow on the sunrise safari, so make sure you don't miss out.